Hey guys, what's up? Just gonna be talking about the center of your being today, and I want to make a clear distinction that your bodily senses are the occupants of your awareness. Your awareness is your consciousness. It is something that is unconscious to you if we are always involved in the bodily senses. So I kind of mapped out here each of the five main bodily senses, touch, taste, smell, hearing, and eyesight. And primarily, our bodily awareness, our consciousness is inhabiting one of these five senses because we are so identified with the body. We're so identified with the human form. We're so identified with uh, the here and now, and we're not so much interested in the imagination. At least I'm talking on a general scheme of things. But the unconscious, the center of your being, which is only accessible really if you really take your awareness and bring it into yourself. It's so instead of really, because here we have the five senses, and that's kind of like the middle. Like your body is like a membrane, like a cell. If you were a cell, your body is like a membrane keeping all the cells, innards, and inner operations and mechanisms kind of contained within a compressed and organized and very well efficient system. And kind of, I don't want to say it's a machine, but it's a type of technology. Your body is, so, and the cell is as well. So instead of having your awareness go from your bodily senses out into the world of objects, which I have here described as food, animals, tree, car. You know what objects are. You get the idea. The objective world is the things that we can really kind of interface with our senses. With our hearing, if we hit something up against another thing, we can hear the sound it makes. So, and everything potentially could have a smell. Even rocks do. So, what I'm getting at is really the bodily senses here are the middleman. They're the middle between the objective reality, the objective world, and your completely personal subjective reality that is before and after all of this stuff. And kind of when we go to sleep, we visit this center of being, and we retract and withdraw our awareness outside of the objects into the body. We're laying in bed and we're like feeling all the things. If we're in pain, maybe pain will flare up. Maybe your teeth are aching, or maybe your back is, or we'll start to, when we're still, when we are inactive, we will start to feel the bodily senses, because our awareness has, you close your eyes, right? And your awareness has entered back into the bodily contraption and the bodily mechanism. And I want to kind of not associate the body with mechanics, but this serves as a useful device and tool in this analogy. So when we close our eyes at night, we basically, in our normal waking life, most of our awareness is around our head, our eyes, right? Because that's where happens to be for humans that we operate mostly on what we see, because we have so much to think about. Our awareness is up here, right? For animals, they don't have so much to think about. They don't have like, the parts of the brain that the human species does. So their awareness is much more in tune with other senses, like for instance, taste and smell. Like they have a fantastic sense of sight, don't get me wrong, a lot of animals, but they're much more in tune with this place here. And that place, that center of being where they only visit and sleep, is really um, inaccessible to them unless they, but as humans, we can visit this center of our being when we still our minds, and we make silent all of the bodily senses, kind of like in meditation, or just sitting in your room quietly, no music, no TV, no nothing. You could just kind of look around in your room and bring your awareness to this inner presence that is beyond the bodily senses. It's hard to explain because it's so subtle, but the bodily senses are very gross, like they're very raw, and so are objects. They're very like raw materials, right? So of course, the bodily senses are subtler than the gross stuff because we get to inhabit our awareness into our bodily senses. But what I'm getting at really is that the center of your being is the same distance from the world of objects in accordance or in relationship from your bodily senses. Your bodily senses are the middleman. The center of your being is in, and the objects are out. So no matter what direction you go, the center of your being or the objects are the same distance, quote unquote. They are the same distance from your bodily senses. You can either move your attention outward into things, people, events, places, all the thing that is happening outside of you, or you can move your awareness into this internal state that's very personal, that's very you can't really share it with anybody other than through your words and your creative expressions of yourself. But it's the same distance, your center of your being and your objects from your bodily senses. So why not go inward? If you're feeling severe confusion, severe depression, severe trauma, severe unhappiness, rather than going outward, rather than going out into the world of people, places, and things, to go inward is the same distance. It's the same energy. You're going to use that same energy going outward to go inward, but it's the different direction. It's inside. So the bodily senses are really just a place for your awareness that your awareness occupies on a kind of automatic place. We use our awareness to associate the objects that we get to perceive and get to experience in this human form. We associate with those things through all of our senses. We associate it through what color it is, like music. What scale that is, or what note that is. With smell, we have different words to describe smells. With the taste, we have many different types of food to kind of associate our awareness with, oh yeah, that experience of spicy, or that experience of savory or salty or sweet. So really, we are always associating the external world with our bodily senses. So What if we were to turn that around though? What if we were to turn our awareness into, oh, I actually have a different idea of how that sound, you know, affects me, or how that, you know, sight of a violent movie affects me. And that's going into your internal being. You know, you're being much more personal. You're being more selective. You're being more sensitive. That's what we're all learning to do now. We're learning to become sensitive. It's becoming a more sensitized world, because, or you can go the other extreme. You can become more desensitized. But either way, you're not going to stay in the middle anymore. You're going to be forced, quote unquote, to be more sensitive or be more unsensitive. I have talked about this in other videos, so if you're interested, go watch my video about polarization. But the bodily senses are just the middleman, and that's like where the ego, the associative identification, inhabits the most often. So what if we want to completely extinguish the ego, because the ego has brought us so much suffering, right? We've been through all these people, places, and things out through our lifetime, and we're done with it. We're at a point where, okay, I'm not really interested in doing that anymore. I'm not really interested in going through the motions and like going through all this gross kind of raw material things that really bog down my energy and like really take me out of a place of peace. So if we were to withdraw our awareness, we would become more still. We would become more. It's kind of like the argument of like introvert and extrovert. Like extroverts are definitely more involved with the world of objects, right? And even the bodily senses. Like, but the introverts are much more sensitive to their center of being and their kind of internal state, their emotional state of being, their mental state of being. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying that these are the basic kind of different mindsets. It's like a feminine internal mindset and a masculine external mindset. And I hate to kind of really break it down like a duality type of thing for you, but this is just helpful. It's just a tool. Like I personally am very feminine minded. Like I'm very sensitive and I'm very in tune with my feelings and my state of mind. But I compensate for that through just being very aware of that, being very aware that, I am sensitive and I want to become more efficient in my own state of being and in my own life and out in the world. Like I don't want to waste my energy on things. So that's what going back in really does for me. So yeah, guys, the bodily senses, whether you go out external, you go hang out with friends, you go to events, you go learn things at school, you go to YouTube, you go to whatever. Those are activities, all those activities, but not very much of us, especially in the West, we don't really take time to be silent. We don't take time to be with ourselves enough, and really that's the imbalance. That's the imbalance in your life, where you are becoming more sick and becoming more depressed and just frustrated and angry, and the list goes on. So the same distance, it's the same distance, because your awareness is always in this center place. Always, it's on the automatic. That's the automatic caregiver is here, the ego. okay? And that is the place where you're not really aware of what you're thinking, you're not really aware of what you're feeling, you're just operating on automatic pilot from all the programs you've been installed with throughout your childhood, throughout your whole lifetime. So really, if the same energy is going to be expended on the events, people, and places, or the visiting that place within you that is really honest and really truthful and really will give you insights that the objective world can't, and the objective world can give you insights that the internal world can't. So it's really a balance. But I just, speaking in general, most people are imbalanced in this place, the feminine mindset, and it shows with all the masculine dominated world we live in. Not saying it's right, wrong, good, or bad. It's just something we had to go through as a species. But bodily senses, really, that's where you are automatically. That's where you are unconsciously. That's where you are without any effort. And the same effort that you take and you put into the world out there is the same effort that you take and put into the world in here. So it's going to be the same distance, guys. And, this is probably going to resonate with people that are spiritually minded or more open to psychology and stuff like that, So, yeah, guys, that's essentially what I want to talk about today. And thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys on other videos.